The House Appropriations Committee will consider ways to improve diversity and inclusion at the State Department. The committee got some advice Thursday at a hearing. Harry Thomas is Senior Program Coordinator at Itility. He's former U.S. Ambassador to Zimbabwe, and he testified at that hearing. Mr. Ambassador, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining me today. What's the message that you wanted to convey to that Appropriations Committee hearing?
Thanks for having me, Francis. The message we wanted to convey is that diversity and inclusion is important for America. It strengthens America when we use all Americans to the best of their ability, especially in foreign policy in a globalized world.
You said something at that hearing that I found interesting. You said that when you and your colleagues joined the Foreign Service, there was a black circuit, Africa and the Caribbean, and that still exists. What's your view about how to change that, about how to find assignments for people of all backgrounds in all parts of the world, sir?
Well, it takes leadership, Francis. It takes leadership from the top of the department, particularly the Director General, the Undersecretary for Management, the Secretary of State, to ensure that all Foreign Service officers and specialists are given the opportunity to serve in the areas where they would like. And that has to be sustained.
It strikes me the sustainment of that, Mr. Ambassador, comes at all levels and not just the ambassadorial levels. What would you like to see the State Department do to start to grow those Foreign Service officers earlier on in their careers?
I would like to see a formal mentorship program so that people coming in, no matter whether they're women, minorities, or people from rural areas that don't have a tradition of serving in the State Department, understand what they have to do, the type of assignments they have to undertake to succeed, to rise in the Foreign Service and not leave bitter and dispirited.
How is the State Department doing so far? What resources do they have today that they could build on, and what do they need to build from scratch to fulfill the vision that you and your colleagues are laying out, sir?
They have all the tools necessary, Francis. First thing they should do is mentor people coming in through orientation, officers and specialists, about the career aspirations. Then this summer, when the assignment season takes place, make sure that everybody's given an opportunity to serve in the areas around the world. When they are choosing ambassadors, the ambassador's deputy and consuls general, again, make sure that's equitable and fair. The statistics over the last 4 years in terms of promotions for African Americans have been among the lowest ever. So the promotion panels also need to be diverse and inclusive.
And you anticipated where I wanted to go next. There's a pretty clear line of delineation among the uniformed services in the military. If you want to become a general or flag officer, you position your career in such a way, and you anticipated, I think, by laying out some of those jobs underneath ambassador, where people should aspire to go. Does the State Department, do you think, do a good job of explaining that to its own personnel so that people understand, if I want to reach a job at a certain level, what the job underneath that level is, and underneath that level, and so on?
They do a fair job. The challenge is, Francis, ambassadors pick their deputies. There's a panel that picks consul generals, and those panels have failed to do their job repeatedly over decades of giving women and minorities opportunities. So the leadership of the department needs to ensure that those panels give the people jobs. And also the assistant secretaries, who are the powers in charge of the regional and functional bureaus in the State Department, have to allow people of color and minority women into those areas. As I've said in my testimony, Europe, Near East affairs, and the East Asian Pacific are still closed shops to most of us who are women and minorities.
One of the things the military has done to try to address that is removing names and photographs from promotion packets. Is there some equivalent, some similar thing that the State Department could do to achieve what you're suggesting?
Well, Francis, the Army still has the photographs, and that's one of the challenges that African American officers face in the Army. But going to the State Department, the real thing is to make sure that people are mentored for their evaluations, to make sure that they know what needs to go inside their evaluation. And also, we have something we call the suicide box, where you have to write where you'd like to go and what mistakes or things that you've made to make sure that you do not commit suicide when you're writing about your hopes, aspirations, and things that you need to improve upon.
We have about a minute left, Mr. Ambassador. What will you watch to see what kind of progress the department makes, and what's a reasonable timeline for some of these things, for the department to achieve some of these things?
The reasonable timeline is this fall. By the time assignments come out for ambassadors, their deputies, consul generals, and the mid-level and junior officers, I'd like to see each assistant secretary have to make reports, quarterly reports to the secretary, and we'd like to see those who achieve their diversity goals and objectives financially rewarded. The big challenge will be, how do we sustain this from administration to administration, because you may have another administration like Pompeo and Trump, where they clearly do not want to see women and people of color achieve their aspirations.
Mr. Ambassador, thank you very much for joining me. It's great to have you on the program, sir.
You take care. Happy Easter. Bye-bye.